Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my in-progress Starfield 60+ hour review. I won't be spoiling anything, but I will be talking about some of the experiences I've had in the game, how I played the game, my kind of approach to playing the game, my first impressions, and what I've actually done in the game, because I haven't actually completed the main campaign at all. I'll talk about what I like and dislike, and the videos will be structured in video chapters too. Okay, so starting off with the character creator, I knew what I had in mind. I wanted to have my character look like John Wick. I wanted him to look like Keanu Reeves or Nicolas Cage. Those were my two ideal kind of characters that I wanted to roleplay in Starfield, and I knew like my skill in creating character wasn't that good, so I looked to YouTube. And there was a Spanish YouTuber who actually created Keanu Reeves and showed exactly how he did it. And it was a very short video. And then my character ended up looking exactly like Keanu Reeves, which was incredible because I wanted to kind of roleplay in this universe as a John Wick kind of space ranger. So I didn't spend too much time. I kind of looked at the hairs. Now that was one thing I was disappointed with. I felt like we needed more hairstyles in the game. Spent about 10-15 minutes on creating my character, but using that video and just looking at what kind of options there were in terms of hairstyles and piercings and stuff like that. And then I moved on to backgrounds, which I chose Netrunner. I wasn't really that, obsessed with choosing a background. I kind of just wanted to choose the one that sounded the coolest to me, which was Netrunner. And then I moved on to traits. Now, of course, traits was the one I knew that was going to be very important in terms of getting stuff in the game. So looking at all the traits, I chose kid stuff, I chose the adoring fan, and I chose the getting a home and then you had to pay mortgage on it. Now I'll just quickly give my quick review of each trait. I think kid stuff is a great trait. There are things about it that will surprise you, so I don't want to spoil that, of course. This is a non-spoiler review. Adoring fan is exactly what you think it would be if you've watched any of the gameplay trailers, the deep dive. It's exactly that. And also Dream Home is exactly what you think it would be too. It's on a peaceful planet. And the great thing about Dream Home is you don't have to pay upfront the cost of the house. You can pay it weekly, and it's about 500 credits, which actually is nothing when you get into the game. So it there's no real downside. And also with the kids stuff trait, you have to pay about 500 credits a week, which is kind of nothing in the game. So don't worry too much about the pricing when it comes to these traits. Also, I wanted to mention that I think all the best traits were actually showed off during the deep dive showcase, and there weren't that many new traits that I looked at and I haven't seen before. Like, I've seen all these traits in the breakdown videos of the previous Starfield deep dives and gameplay videos, so there was no trait that actually surprised me, and I actually thought there would be a lot more traits in the game. Like, I thought that they weren't showing us a lot of the traits, but apparently they did kind of show us all of the traits in the previous gameplay trailers and stuff like that. So that was a slight disappointment, but that was my own expectation. That was my own fault for having those expectations. I don't know why I thought there would be more. I thought they were keeping a lot secret, but apparently they weren't. Most of them I already knew about, and there wasn't that many exciting ones like the adoring fan and the kid stuff trait. There wasn't any more to the caliber of those traits, in my opinion. Okay, so the gameplay you're about to see is just me doing bounty quests and stuff like that. It wasn't me doing any main mission, so there won't be any spoilers in my gameplay clips from this point on. So my approach to playing this game, I kind of had this in mind as I was creating my character and choosing my backgrounds and getting in to that first mission in Starfield and kind of playing that prologue, which takes about 5 to 6 hours to fully complete. I'm playing the game very, very slowly. The way I go into bases and take out enemies, I play it slow. I roleplay during the game. I take in the scenery, I take in the blood on the walls and kind of try to figure out what's going on in the base before. I listen to my companions, I have discussions with them. I love walking around abandoned bases with my pistol in hand, because there's a better animation for walking when he's got a pistol in hand, I feel. So I'm definitely taking my time, even during bounty hunts, which are kind of like throwaway missions in this game that you don't really need to think about. I feel like a lot of the missions you don't really need to think about, but it's just myself being immersed in the game. It kind of feels like I'm in a movie, and this is what Keanu Reeves' character would be doing in this scene. I think that's a better way to describe the way I'm playing. Okay, moving on to the missions that I've played so far. Again, won't spoil anything, but I'm just going to give you an overview of what I've actually done in this game. So I did that first 5 to 6 hours of the main quest that you kind of have to do to actually get into the main game. I took Sarah, one of the Constellation members, as my main crewmate, and I went off into the stars exploring different planets. So I've had a lot of activities I've played, a lot of side quests I've played. I've done 2 main faction quests. And by doing all these things and having Sarah at my side, I actually built up her affinity so I can do her companion quest, which I didn't even know that was part of the game. I didn't know she was going to have a companion quest, so that was quite a surprise to me too. And there's this faction that are a kind of space cowboy faction, which I kind of roleplay. I kind of wanted to roleplay as that. When I started the game, I didn't know that was actually going to be a full-on faction in the game. So every decision I make in other quest lines, I kind of resort back to the fact that I am one of those space rangers. Another way to put it, I'm basically a police cowboy, and I do a lot of the right things. I don't like to make the bad moral decisions in this game as I'm playing as this character. But let's talk about some of the qualities of these side quests and activities. So let's start off with the side quests. So there's a huge range of side quests, as you can expect. There's so much, in fact. There's like unbelievable amounts of side quests that you can do. Now these, I'm not talking about the bounty quests. I'm actually talking about kind of the handcrafted quests that you will discover along the way. Some of them are really good and some of them are really, really boring. Of course, you're going to have those quests where you kind of just be told to go to a destination, kill something, come back. Those, sometimes they're good. It depends on the storyline that goes along with them, and sometimes they are really, really boring. Also, the activities in this game, a lot of them just are kind of precursors to side quests. So by doing an activity, it leads to you starting a side quest in your journal. Their side quests could range from being very short, like extremely short, or quite long, and those long ones, that especially the ones that I've played so far, are like the best amongst the side quests, I have to say. I don't want to give any details, I don't want to spoil the game, so that's why I'm kind of refraining from giving you story points even in these side quests. So side quests and activities, basically it's a mixed bag, and there's no real way to tell whether you're going to be doing a good side quest or a bad side quest. Sometimes a good side quest would have a kind of boring opening, but then it leads into something a lot bigger than you would expect. Okay, moving on to faction quests. So I've played the 3-star Rangers faction quest, and also a faction quest that makes you play as an undercover agent, which I won't go really into, but the quest was quite good. But I really do prefer the 3-star Rangers faction quest. I think that's my favorite one I've played so far. I felt like that lasted a long time. I was doing 3-star Rangers bounties at the same time too. And that experience of being a 3-star ranger and solving these cases is exactly what I was looking for from this game. So I highly recommend you playing the faction quest. I've played 2 so far. I know there's about 4 or 5 of them, I think. So I think that's where a lot of the big tier quality is within Starfield. It's definitely within these kind of main quests. It does feel like the game, when you're playing a faction quest, just like any other Bethesda game, it kind of feels as you're playing it like the game was made just for this faction quest. Like it kind of takes on being the main quest itself. But my biggest problem with these is when they're finished, I feel like the end game for that specific faction is not good enough. So for an example, once I finished the 3-star Rangers and I tried to talk to the head of the 3-star Rangers, the captain, there was no dialogue option anymore. I couldn't even speak to him. He kind of just says one-liners like, "Hey, how are you?" And it kind of left me feeling empty with this kind of faction. Like I did this incredible case, I did this amazing faction quest, and by the end, now all I can do is these faction bounties on the mission boards. But I wish Bethesda had added some kind of post-game kind of content for each faction. But unfortunately, the only thing available from them are the mission board bounties. It was the same for the undercover agent quest. And once I finished it, it was just the only thing available now was the bounties on the mission boards. But let's get a bit more into the bounty system. So you'll find mission boards throughout the world that have bounties for you to kill spacer pirates, spacers, ecliptic mercs, and you basically just go there, take them out, maybe take out one of their ships, and then you'll end up having the loot at the end of it. It's very simple, it's exactly how you think it would work, there's actually nothing special to it. But with the 3-star Rangers, you actually get access to a special bounty which allows you to get a lot more credit from the execution of that bounty. And it's also a great way for you to go and visit new worlds, different planets, different star systems if you wanted to. But a lot of the world is procedurally generated. You go to abandoned mines, abandoned laboratories. Honestly, there's nothing special in those abandoned places. I think the first few times that you discover these abandoned places is quite fun. And there are some great environmental stories that you can find there. For example, one was I went to this abandoned laboratory and all the scientists were dead, and I was looking through notes, and it basically was an infestation. One of their pet projects actually went rogue and it spawned a lot of babies, and they start killing all the scientists, and you can find and listen to recordings of the scientists in their final moments. And as you get deep into the laboratory, you'll start finding these alien creatures and you start gunning them down and you feel so powerful, and I love those moments in this game. So let's get into the combat system. So the combat system is good for what I wanted to do in this game. It's good enough. It feels good. I feel like the weapons feel good. They definitely look amazing. I absolutely love the weapon designs in this game. With their previous weapons designs in the Fallout series, which I absolutely hated Fallout's weapon designs. I felt like the look of the weapons in Fallout were disgusting at times. But in this game, they're some of the best looking weapons I've ever seen in a video game. And a lot of the weapons, they feel powerful, they feel sleek, they feel exactly how you want them to feel. However, my only problem with the weapons is when you put a suppressor on them and you just feel that sound. I absolutely hate it. It doesn't feel impactful when there's a suppressor on the weapons. But other than that, the guns do feel great. I wasn't really a fan of the grenades in this game. I felt like a lot of the times when I threw a grenade, it would either come in front of my character or it would go too far away from the enemy for them to feel the impact of the explosion. Then with the melee weapons, I used it quite a bit at the beginning. I kind of thought I would be playing a little bit of a melee build, and it was okay. I wouldn't say it was great. I wouldn't say it's something that I felt I would want to play with the melee weapons more. I'd prefer sticking with the guns. I also love the fact that there are old Earth weapons in this game. So you basically got a pistol, an old Earth shotgun, an old Earth rifle. I love the inclusions of the old school guns in this game. I felt that was a really good inclusion in this game, and it's a surprising inclusion too. So let's get into graphics as we are talking about weapon designs and stuff. So the graphics in this game, it is very, very good for Bethesda game studio standard. It's definitely the best looking Bethesda game right now. It's what I expected from the game, and probably just slightly above what I expected for this game particularly. However, there are some instances where the lighting is off and it just doesn't look right. And the game could end up looking very, very bad, especially when the sunlight is beaming. Your character just looks so flat. It doesn't look like there's any texture on the skin. They sort of look like a clay plasticky mold. So certain aspects, it does depend on the lighting. However, things like the style of this game, the NASA punk style that they went for, the architecture of ships and the interior designs and exterior designs, all of that stuff is top notch. I have to say, some amazing attention to detail when it comes to the food, the architecture of ships, the architecture of space stations, weapon designs, clothing designs, armor designs, spacesuits. All of that is so incredibly well detailed. I'm so happy that they went for that NASA style in this game. It really does make the game feel a lot more grounded, and it definitely looks better than the Fallout series when it comes to the weapon designs, and especially Fallout 4 when it came to the architecture of the buildings. And it wasn't because Fallout's post-apocalyptic and everything was destroyed. No, you can make that look incredibly beautiful. For example, The Last of Us, its world was a destroyed post-apocalyptic world, but it had its own atmosphere. It was very beautiful. And I felt like Fallout 4 specifically looked horrendous in a lot of its aspects when it came to its atmosphere and design. But after 60 plus hours of playing Starfield now, I have put the game down and I don't really feel like I'm going to be playing anytime soon. And the reason for that is I am feeling quite bored of the game now. I mean, I did put 60 hours into the game, and for me, that is a very, very long time. I know other YouTubers and reviewers, they put hundreds upon hundreds of hours into a game. I personally cannot do that. I don't play games like that. I can't play games like that. It's just something I cannot do. I know that I can't do that. I think my favorite game of all time was The Witcher 3 and Red Dead Redemption 2. I put about 60-70 hours into Red Dead Redemption 2 and about probably just over 100 hours into The Witcher 3. A game like Skyrim, I actually played about 2-3 times over the course of like 8 years, and that's probably goes above 100 hours. But I put 60 hours into Starfield within about 3 weeks. So I do kind of feel bored of the game right now. I haven't really delved into the shipbuilding or outpost building, so I can't really give much critique or comments on that. I've never really partook into those kind of aspects in previous Bethesda games like Fallout and Skyrim. I never really did the house building stuff in those kind of games too. What I did do with the shipbuilding is I bought a ship and I did upgrade it, but I never really built my own ship from scratch. But my final kind of thoughts is I've had a great experience with Starfield. It's not because it was boring that I put it down. I put 60 plus hours into the game until I start feeling a bit worn out with it. But for what I wanted with the game, in being able to be the captain of my own ship, go on my own space adventures, police the galaxy, solve murders and crimes, kill space pilots and mercs, make a few moral decisions, join a couple of factions, and kind of fulfill the fantasy of being a police cowboy, I really feel like I got what I wanted out of this game. And there's still so much for me to do. There's the main quest, there's other faction quests, there's the role playing of me being a pirate, because this playthrough I know I wanted to be more of a policeman, where the second one I kind of want to be more on the dark side. But right now I've kind of had my fill of the game, and I 100% will be playing more Starfield in the future. I felt like I've got a lot more to do in the game and I don't have to do it all right now. There's literally tons and tons for me to do, and I know there's something to do with New Game Plus that I don't know of, and I won't want to spoil that for anyone too. But the quote that I've heard is the game actually starts when you hit the credits. So I am very excited to continue the main quest and to do the other faction missions and to hit the credits and see what's in store for me when it gets to the New Game Plus mode. But I just feel like I don't need to play it all right now. Maybe 1 or 2 months down the line, maybe here and there, maybe I'll just get the inkling to go back into Starfield and play some more. But I've had my fill for now, and I've had my experience, and I absolutely love this game and I do recommend it. And the way that they've built this game is that it's going to be playable for 10 plus years down the line. Mod support is coming next year. And do I think you should go out and buy an Xbox to experience Starfield? I would definitely recommend buying the Xbox Series S to experience Starfield. I know you can play it on PC too, but let's just say you don't have a PC and you have a PlayStation or Nintendo Switch and you want to try Starfield, then I definitely recommend, yes, buy an Xbox Series S and experience Starfield. I'll also recommend that you go on eBay and look for pre-owned Xbox Series S, because you can get it for £50 to £80 off its retail price. So I hope you enjoyed my little review of Starfield. This is my first review video I've done on this channel, and I hope to see you again in one of my next videos. Take care, guys.